Hello, everybody. I think we're live. Are we live? Can you hear me? I hope so. I took last week off because I had a lot going on, and I'm happy to be streaming again this week. So, thank you for joining me. We're back with Sam Hain here, our redesign of that villain from the episode of the Real Ghostbusters cartoon entitled When Halloween Was Forever. We finished the line art for this guy. I'm excited about this design. I think it's going to be super fun to color. And that's the next step. We got to add some colors to this guy. So, yeah, join me for some creative fun here. And hope you're doing something cool and creative on your end. Remember to save often. Let's jump in here. All right, colors. Get reacquainted with the file here. What do we got going on? Okay, we've got some line art. We got some OJ, we got some purple stuff. Oh, Sunny D. Okay, let's put this in a folder for the line art. And then we'll make a folder here for our flats, aka our colors. Sweet. Okay, now what? Now what do we do? Well, when you don't know where to start, you just have to kind of look at the list and pick the thing that feels like you maybe know the most or whatever's the most obvious, which may still be a bit vague, but yeah, I mean, we can always change our mind, right? We can move these sliders around and change the colors whenever we want. So let's just get in and start defining these regions. That's the key thing here. We're really just making masks for all the different parts, and the color choices can be adjusted. So let's give his head a color, and I think some kind of orange makes sense. So orange it is. Are our lines set to multiply? That's the other thing I want to make sure. They are not. Okay. Now they are. Also, I guess we should make sure we're staying hydrated, right? Stay hydrated out there. I've got a Spindrift strawberry peach today. Oh, yeah, that's nice. Hashtag not sponsored. And we'll try to resist the urge to fill it all in manually. And we'll try to just get these outlines going because this guy's got a lot going on. We kind of went a little crazy with the line art, and I don't want to be here for an eternity coloring this dude. Okay, we got another pumpkin over there, but I think I want to put each pumpkin on a separate layer because maybe some slight variation between the pumpkins would look nice. But to stick with the overall vibes we've been going with for all of our Ghostbuster villain redesigns, I'm going to try to still have a bit of a limited palette with this guy. We're not going for that rainbow aesthetic. Let's see what eraser we're using. Erase hard is what we want. Yep. As usual, I've got a movie on in the background. Wish I could share it with you guys, but we definitely get a copyright strike. And tonight I am watching In the Mouth of Madness. It's a 90s John Carpenter horror film with Sam Neill of Jurassic Park fame. And if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It's a great one. Okay, now see the line art, we failed here because okay. What is happening? What is happening here? Liner got a little messy in that area, didn't it? Okay, I guess this piece of flesh, of pumpkin flesh, ends here. Is that what you call it? Do you call this part of the pumpkin flesh? Sounds weird, doesn't it? I don't know if that's right. Well, and then the other thing is I think this part's gonna just be orange too, right? It's just gonna be darker. So I guess we'll fill that in. This orange I chose is like a neon. It's not gonna stay this neon, I assure you. But it does help us see what we're doing very easily. So that's nice. Okay, so here again, I think this yeah, I guess all this in here can be orange. I'm gonna skip these gums because the gums will want to be something different. Oh my, I guess yeah. Okay, good. I wanted to see what my mic levels were. It looks okay on my end. And I don't know why I'm being precious about that edge there. It's all gonna get filled in anyway. Sometimes I go on autopilot. So I guess this all is pumpkin flesh in here, but except for the eye, that's going to be different. And then the rest of this might be able to just get a nice fill. Let's see. Well, nope, we didn't quite get all the teeth connected here. Was it just that part there? That might have been it. Yep, that was it. Okay, now I'm immediately going to adjust that neon color so we can make it a little more naturalistic. Okay, that's a little easier on my eyes. You guys may know that I like some traditional media, nothing too crazy. I don't go oil painting or anything, but just ink and pencils and things like that. And I like fountain pen inks for doing a little splash of color here and there. And I don't want to I want to carry around a whole bunch of different ink colors, so I've had to be very choosy about which colors I want to have. It's like, well, probably I don't want any more than 20 colors with me, right? You don't want to be hauling that around. And if you've only got 20, it's like, well, what 20 colors do I choose? And you're trying to hit them all through the spectrum, right? And then once you know what colors you want, then you have to figure out, well, which inks are going to be the best representation of those colors. And I was recently trying to get a good orange color. And I mentioned it because I settled on an ink from the company Diamine called Pumpkin. Kind of relevant. Now you see, sorry, we had to go on a long road there, and when we got there. And funny enough, I haven't used it yet. So I've seen swatches of it, and the swatches look great. And I have the bottle of ink, but I have not inked a pen up and used it yet. But I'm hopeful that it's just the right orange I was looking for. Originally, I bought a color called Apache Sunset for my orange, which is a Noodler's brand ink. And I guess that's all orange, isn't it? Okay, so we don't need to do anything there. Um, Apache Sunset for my orange, and then I inked it up and started using it and realized that it's very yellow. It's very yellow. And I think if I just paid more attention to the swatches online, I would have noticed that. But it's got a tinge of orange, a touch of orange, a skosh a drop, a smidgen of orange in there, but it's very yellow to my eyes. And pumpkin from Diamine looks to be a lot more of like a true orange. So it's fine. I've got a yellow orange and I've got an orange now, and I suppose both of those are helpful, although I don't have a true yellow. So maybe that needs to be on the list, right? Need a yellow in there somewhere. And then the question there is, well, do we get rid of the yellow orange and replace it with the yellow? Because I don't want to carry around a bunch of stuff. First world problems. Painting these the same orange. But yeah, I think maybe we'll add some variation. I didn't paint this one orange because it's overlapping, and that doesn't create the mask that I want. But since these guys are fully separate, I'm okay just giving them the same color for the moment. Yeah, I guess does this guy qualify? Oh, you know what's funny? I think that's a part of the main pumpkin head, isn't it? I think we missed that little piece. Yeah, we totally did. All right, glad we caught that. I always wonder when I'm zoomed way in like this on a part of the piece, people stumble across the stream and they look at this and they're like, is this guy really just painting this like kind of low resolution pumpkin? Like, no, no, wait, wait, wait. It's only a small part of the whole thing. Oh, all right, bye. I guess you could probably I could like put the navigator somewhere so that you always have context of what it is this is part of, but will have to be for next time. I mean, the screen, it's like, well, I guess I got all this silly stuff above me here that we could put some stuff over. I don't know. You guys let me know if having like an image of the full thing while I'm working zoomed in would be interesting or helpful or an improvement in some way. Because I feel like the thing is, you can't really see much of what's happening in that view, right? You just see overall what it is, but the individual work being done, the brushstrokes and everything, it kind of just disappears, right? I don't know. I'm undecided. All right, we got two little pumpkins hiding out in the back there. So let's give them their own special layer. I'll change the color so I can tell that they're different. Yellow pumpkins. What is this crazy world? What are the color? I guess pumpkins can come in quite a few colors, right? I've seen I mean, I guess shades of orange, obviously, right? But I guess they can kind of get into the yellowish category. I think I've seen white pumpkins. I definitely have seen those. They're like kind of an off-white. And I guess there might be green pumpkins too, potentially. Although I can't recall seeing a green pumpkin. But definitely white and orange and kind of yellow orange. So maybe we'll operate in a limited range here with these changes, but yeah, like maybe this one here. Whoops, what do we got? What do we got? Oh, that's the wrong layer. Okay. Maybe this guy gets a little darker. Maybe this guy gets a little bit brighter. Maybe he's a little less saturated. And maybe this guy gets a little bit darker as well back here. Maybe he gets more saturated. Nope. Nope. Let's go with, yep, that looks good. Ooh, look at that. A little more of a reddish orange. Oh, that's nice. Let's do that to this one as well. Maybe this guy's also a little darker. Yep. And this guy up here, what do we do with this guy? This guy's a little bit, maybe a little more yellow. Maybe he's a little bit lighter. Okay, sure. Did we get all of them? I feel like there's so many little pumpkins hiding in this sort of shoulder pumpkin patch thing going on. Okay, I think we got it. Let's do some leaves. That seems like a good next step here. Pumpkins in a folder and leaves just below. Now, the leaves are another one where I feel like we would want maybe some color variety, but I think we can get away with maybe instead of like a different, slightly different color for each leaf, I think maybe we can go for some organic like gradients and blends within the leaves. I think that that makes sense to me. So now the question is color wise. Again, with the idea of the limited palette, I mean, we can maybe go for more of a fall leaf. I mean, that seems to be the right kind of vibe, this autumn vibe. But then does it make the pumpkins hard to read, right? Um, Maybe they're more of a brown color. I feel like that would still let the pumpkins sort of show up. And then within the brown, maybe we have some like modeling of dark and light patches. Let's try that. Let's try a little bit of a brown sort of vibe. And I don't know exactly what vibe yet, but or which brown, but let's try something like that. I want to pay attention to the value. I think let's go a little darker. Let's try that. And it won't be consistently that. Is that maybe just too boring? Do we maybe redden it up a little bit? You know, red is going to be something that will feel autumn, but it won't conflict with the pumpkins. Okay. All right. All right. I like that. I don't want the stems are going to be more of a brown. So let's exclude these stems. Kind of interesting because in my head, I was thinking of like some like ghostly green colors, but in practice, though, it seems like we're definitely trending more on the sort of warm side with the palette. So, yeah, I don't know what that means for everything yet, but just going to kind of go with it. It's also funny to kind of look over at the original version and see how his outfit is sort of a brown tone. And I don't know that they were intentionally going for any kind of an autumn vibe there. Could just be that, a sort of a brown robe felt appropriate, but maybe, I don't know. But if we do the brown, the reddish brown for the leaves, then I think we need to go for more of like a muted, like yellow brown or a grayish brown for his robe. We definitely want them to be distinct and easily differentiated. But I think it's an interesting thing to remember that it's not always the right choice to make every element of a character read differently or to read clearly separated. Sometimes you want those things to blend together, right? Like you can control a sense of ratio in a design by simply making different elements the same value or the same color. It's cool how much control you have at each phase. The example I think I've given on the channel before is, like a snowman made of three of the same sized balls is a very visually unappealing snowman. You want small, medium, and large to make a kind of a nice, stable sort of looking design, but also one that has a little bit of emphasis and flow. But let's say you did end up making a design that had to be these three equal parts, but you had freedom over color. Well, if you made both of these the same color and then you made this one here a different color, then you're tying these two together and keeping this one separate. And while it's not as strong as this one, it's better than if you'd made them all the same color, right? So that's just a very kind of simple explanation as to what I was just talking about. I have to zoom out occasionally to see if I'm reading the lines correctly. A lot of lines here. Hey, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. What's going on there? Is that a leaf? Yes, that's leaf there. Sure. Let's go for that. You do the lines and you think, man, I'm being really clean about these lines. This is going to be great to color. And then you get in here and you find all kinds of little confusing areas. It's classic, right? Oh, well, I'm glad that you enjoy watching. I enjoy hanging out with all of you folks and hopefully getting everybody's creative juices flowing. When I was a kid, I'd watch Bob Ross paint on TV when he was still on TV. I'm dating myself there, but all those kind of little things affect you. You kind of start thinking about, oh, well, art might be kind of fun. Maybe I should try to be an artist or something. It's kind of fun to expose people to different ways to be creative. I was watching a YouTube channel recently called Ari at Home. Ari is a person's name, and then at home. And his channels is really, really fun and inspiring, but it's not an art channel. It's a music channel, and he goes out on the New York streets with his little keyboard and his little synthesizers, and he creates freestyle music on the fly, and he just hands his microphone to somebody on the street and asks them to do some freestyle singing or rapping or something, and it's really fun. There's an infectious energy to those videos, and I ended up doing a little fan art of some of the people in one of his videos because I was so jazzed with what he was doing. But I like how it kind of highlights everybody's unique qualities and gives them the spotlight for a moment. That's kind of cool about streaming too, right? Is you can kind of put yourself out there and connect with people. Super fun. Are you doing anything creative or are you just hanging out? I know some folks who tune in, they're also painting and doing things like that. Did we get it all? Okay, we got a little patch back here to do, but I think that is looking pretty good so far. Okay, there's a little bit of a weird shape there. Let's work around that. Oh, you're doing some digital painting? That's awesome. Well, remember to save often. Although I guess if you're in Procreate, I think yeah, I don't use Procreate, but I hear I think it doesn't it kind of like save for you or something. I feel like it has some kind of auto thing. Photoshop has a little bit of a backup save that it can do, but I never trust that. I don't know that it's ever actually worked for me in the past to save something. That's not true. It's worked in the case where, yeah, I guess there was a crash and you reopen the program and the documents kind of auto reopen again, mostly where they left off. So I guess it does function fairly well. I've never had to go like looking for the backup saves to open them though. Kind of like automatic thing. But I save manually anyway because that just makes me feel better. All right, let's get this piece filled in. Still not closed off somewhere. Got to follow the trail. Is it that? Nope. The line's in the way. Sometimes it's tricky to see what you've missed. Aha. How about now? I think we did it. Yeah, we got there. Okay, cool. So yeah, it looks a little flat right now, but we'll help that out in a bit. Is that all the leaves? I think we can move on to the stems now. Let's do it. This is going to be stems or vines or I guess whatever you want to call them. And for this, we'll do more of a uh, kind of like a yellow. Well, let's see. I guess it's like a yellow ochre. I guess is how you describe this color. It's like a pea soup green. I don't know. It's maybe sounds like a weird choice, but I'm kind of feeling this color for this section. Hopefully this works. It's kind of woody, but a little less dead looking than just a brown. I'm kind of trying to find like a weird in between, I guess. And all this here. Do I use keyboard shortcuts to fill up the color after painting on the edge? Yeah, I have an action I made in Photoshop, and I made that because normally, if you try to fill a region in Photoshop with the paint bucket tool, it leaves a weird edge, like it creates like a little aliased sort of gap at the edge, and so I have an action I made that I'll demonstrate it in a moment here, and then I'll walk you through kind of what it does. So let's see. I'll pick an area that all these little roots are tiny little squiggles. We're kind of hand painting, and I'll do it actually right here though. So let's say I outline this section here, and then let's say I want to fill this in. So I go to the wand tool, and then I click in this missing area. And if I were to just paint bucket fill this, you'll see there's this annoying little edge, right? Which is just no good. So what the action does is first it expands the selection by a couple pixels, and then it fills it. So it's just kind of one extra step, but it's an extra step that I don't want to have to manually do every time. And then I just assign the action to a hotkey. In this case, I use F5, so I can hit F5, and you can see now there's no gap there. I don't know why Photoshop has such a problem filling things properly. It's something that I think most other painting applications do just fine, but Photoshop struggles with that. So there's the fix for it. Again, wand, click F5. There's a lot of cool things you can do with actions in Photoshop, a lot of automation and just kind of optimizing your workflow. A good chunk of my actions are actually not anything complicated. They're just taking my most used features out of these menus at the top of Photoshop here and just making them a button I can push easily, which sounds a little weird, maybe redundant, but I like having all my most used things in one place. So just so you can kind of see what that looks like there. You can see here's all my actions, and the ones with the little indicator on the right are ones I've hotkeyed. And then the ones that don't, I'll just click this here and it'll run the action. So this menu is in what they call button mode. Because normally you'd see it like this is gross. It's not helpful. I mean, it's nice when you're making an action or editing it, but when you're just trying to use your actions, I don't really want to see the tree view like this. So I just click here and go to button mode, and then I can just click these, which is really nice. Next, what I might do is I might just sure this is off screen, so I don't share too much information about my school. But I was thinking I might just post a message in here that I'm streaming in case anybody at my school wants to hop in here as well. Let's see. Anyone is interested? And now I need my Twitch link, which I guess is oops, now I've really done it. I've screwed everything up. I gotta find my Twitch link. Oh, that's a movie. Hope. Oh, I don't want to get doxxed for that, or not doxxed, but copyright strike. Okay, I guess I'll This is why we don't try to do these things while I'm streaming because it makes everything get messed up. I'm trying to make sure my windows don't get screwed up here. Um, all right, I'm gonna. Can I just highlight this text and copy this text? Okay. Can you do me a favor in chat? Can you paste a link to my Twitch channel in there so I can copy and paste it? Because that'll be easier than me trying to get to it while I'm streaming. I appreciate that. Or maybe that would be hard if you're on a phone maybe. So if you can't, that's okay too. I always forget people are usually on their mobile devices. Hey, there it is. Thank you so much. That's so silly that I needed that, but just happens to be easier doing it that way because I've already got my Twitch chat open and everything. Okay, there we go. Message sent. Let's keep this rolling. And maybe I will, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe I will put this here. Let's see if we can make this work. I'll pull this guy down here and I'll pull this guy up here. Yeah, okay, that's not terrible. And we can kind of see. Kind of. It's so small, right? Is it maybe this guy wants to come over here. And then does this guy want to just get bigger? Yeah, that's kind of maybe there's something good about that. All right, we'll try that for a while and see. Although this thing is flashing. You see this? This thing is flashing all over the place. Look at that. Wow, that's not good. Is it still doing it? Yeah, look at that. It kind of flickers. So that's just annoying. All right, we'll put that guy away. Ah, the wonders of Photoshop never cease. All right, let's move to the next. Oh wait, no, we've got a few vines left. My bad. We got sidetracked. That is not an unusual occurrence. Got squirrel brain over here. It's actually funny that navigator issue, that flickering, is something that has been a problem for a long time in Photoshop. Now that I'm thinking about it, it used to be that couldn't have it open at all, so it would cause like the whole screen to flicker. And now I guess it just that window alone or that panel alone flickers, which is better, I guess, but still not as usable as I'd like. I mean, certainly not for a stream where I don't want to be like putting up a whole bunch of annoying visuals, right? But I think even just for my own personal viewing, I don't know that I like it. I don't. I think that's still maybe just too distracting for me. You know what you can do though? You can, let's see, arrange new window. Okay, now we're thinking. So this is not the navigator. This is just a duplicate window of what we're working on, right? Okay. So now the question is, will this document flicker like the navigator? And it does not. And I think because it doesn't have the little red box moving around showing where we're at, I think that's really what causes the other thing to flicker. So that looks better anyway, right? Because it doesn't have that annoying box on top of it. So that's good. All right, cool. It looks better. Okay, good. That's good to hear. We just had to like think about it for a minute and then we came up with a good solution. Yeah, yeah, I think it's better than the navigator too. Did we get all the vines? Let's see. I think we might have gotten all of them. Well, if we miss something, we can always come back to it. I think what we can do now is, hmm. Oh my gosh, there's so many things. Let's do so he's got this layer, he's got this layer. There's a lot of layers going on here. We were very layer heavy with the costume, which was something I wanted, right? I talked about how I didn't want him to have the simple, potato sack thing going on from the original. So I think we accomplished that, but now we've got lots of choices to make. So I think we could do this cape, which is the thing that definitely butts up against the leaves here. All right, let's go with a deeper red and call this layer cape. And that's this part right here. So we don't see a whole lot up top, but plenty behind him. Oops. So, yeah, I don't know if red's going to be the right call here, but it's a starting point. The color of the glowing elements is going to be an interesting challenge because every color I think of in my head feels like it has some feels like it's not quite right for one reason or another. So yeah, it's going to be a tricky choice. Um, we might want to stick with something on the warm side, but that might make it hard to read against all the warms that are there. So then if we go complement, then we kind of lose the analogous scheme we've got, right? But it will read really well. So yeah, that's why I'm kind of undecided at the moment. I know by the end of this we'll have the answer. So that's good. Every image to me I view as a puzzle, right? It's like putting all the pieces together. Some of those pieces maybe pop out right away to you, and other ones remain a mystery until the very end. Hopefully those pieces are not big pieces, right? I should probably take these lines down a little bit in opacity so I can see if I'm getting a good edge. Did we I think we were safe on everything else here, yeah. In fact, maybe we'll colorize the lines because it always just looks a little more fun that way. It has no real real impact on the piece other than to just let's see this can we set this to multiply? Whoa. Okay, I guess that's correct. Yeah, we'll just go. Well, let's see. We lose a lot of. Oh, you know what we need to do? We need to. Yeah, there we go. We need to turn the opacity up, and then we can do that. Okay, there we go. I think the thing about that too is that it gives us a better sense of where the piece is headed in a lineless situation, right? Like the lines take a back seat to these big color shapes. Now, what's going on here? Is that, oh, that's all cape all the way through there. Okay, gotcha. This is a situation where we definitely don't want to spend time manually filling all this in, right? That would be a huge waste. Okay, what's going on there? Okay, edge got a little wacky. Guess this we can just cut this off here. Sure. It looks a little weird. Fine, we'll fix it in the painting. The thing that experience helps with, right, is helping you know what to fix now and what is better fixed later. And then, oh, I guess that's okay. Did we get it? Are we good? Let's see. Yeah, we got there. Sweet. Okay. Left half done. Let's get the right half figured out, which is starting in this corner here in the armpit. That area gets a little crazy in there, doesn't it? Okay. Guess that's all. Just make sure we're getting the right edge there. Man, what in the heck is going on there? That okay, I see. There's a root. Man, the line art got really complex in that section. Okay, so this is I guess this is the cape here. Yep. Okay, we'll go with that. I can make that work. You would think since I'm the person who drew this, I would know what I was going for here, but that was the past me. That was me several weeks ago. Present me does not remember what past me did. All right, I think we can fill that in, and we can. right, so now we got to do. We could do this vest maybe. Let's see what we can do there. Thinking this is maybe where we start to get a little more neutral. So we'll call this the vest. Oops. Vest. There we go. And the glass makes things tricky, right? Um, okay, so I'm going to have to just paint through the glass. And it's going to look a little weird, but everything will be fine. I'm trying to figure out is this section right here? Because I think that's all just vest in there. Even though that line right there makes me question if that's the right. Yeah, it must be. Yeah, I was maybe going for like a seam on the side of the vest. It's hilarious that I don't remember what I was going for there. It's okay because I think I could make it work. Painting around these ellipses reminds me of this tool I'd like to get for drawing ellipses on paper, which there are very cheap options to do that. You can just get, of course, like a plastic template, or you can get a compass or something. But saw this tool that's super cool. It's called I think it's just called the Iris from a company called Maker's Cabinet, and it's like a flat circular metal ring, and you can turn the ring, and it has like an inner series of fins that open and close like a camera aperture, so you can dial it in to be any size ellipse you want to draw. And man, it's so cool, but it's really expensive. Kind of a premium sort of luxury item, but maybe at some point I'll splurge for it. We'll see. Maybe I can do like a video review of the product. Just something I'm thinking about doing on the channel, by the way, is maybe doing some art tool reviews. I may have mentioned it in the past. I'm kind of inching my way closer to doing that. We would not stop doing these streams ever. It would be like in addition to these. So I'll have to think about that. Man, our lines got really, really messy there, didn't they? Let's see if I can clean that up a little bit. That bugs me. Okay, that's better. But yeah, I think there's a lot of people who are doing reviews of art supplies on YouTube, and so you kind of have to figure out, well, what makes it so people would watch yours. And I think Um, I'm gonna have to. Well, I'm gonna have to cut this off here a little bit. Let's see. Kind of didn't find a good line for this. There we go. Yeah, you have to kind of think about why are people going to watch your reviews, right? And I think for me, it's just that I have a lot of very particular needs and opinions about art supplies. Um, and I'm very critical of art supplies. Like I don't settle for anything that makes makes my life more difficult, right? Or doesn't meet expectations 100%. And not that other people settle for bad tools or anything, but I just think, yeah, I might be uh, overly particular about very specific things about tools as it pertains to drawing with them, right? Not writing with them or, whatever other things you might do. Cool. Okay. Yeah, that's good to hear. I think it's something I want to experiment with. And then the question, of course, is well, which things do I review first? Another difficult question, but I think I might just, pull out some of the tools that I like using most and talk about them. And then the other question, there's so many questions, right? But the other one is, well, you do a review on a single tool or do you do like a comparison or like a roundup of several tools and compare them? That's another thing. I'm kind of thinking maybe individual tool, but within that, you kind of provide a comparison with other similar tools that people might know. We'll have to see, and it might be something that isn't consistent, right? Maybe sometimes we do it on just one tool, and other times we do it with a category of tools. One in particular that I was thinking about was fine liners because I like fine liners, but I feel like a lot of fine liners are really, really crappy. And I have sort of specific opinions about why they're crappy to me and some things to kind of like look out for, which again, I think it might be a unique take on it because I don't know that everybody's doing the kind of art that I'm doing with them. But yeah, it's interesting to me. Well, you can kind of tell what sort of art or crafting or whatever the company is intending the tool for because of how it's made. And a lot of times, a lot of those tools are designed for people doing like like kind of precise drafting, where they might be drawing a lot of lines with rulers, guided lines with templates. I feel like, architectural stuff, um, diagrams and stuff. And I say that because of the way, yeah, the shape of the tool and the way that the grip is designed. And, or maybe they just are just going for a certain aesthetic and they don't really think about that. But for me, that's such a huge part of why I would like or dislike a tool is how it feels in the hand, how you can hold it, what angles does it work best at. It's why I ultimately switched from fine liners to fountain pens because I just wasn't finding fine liners that I thought were good enough for what I do. Um, particular the angle is a huge issue with fine liners. I like to draw, if here's the table here, I like to draw with my pen sort of like this at an angle to the surface, right? Versus a pen pointed down like this. A lot of fine liners are designed to be used like this, and I don't draw like that. I draw more like this, almost more like you're painting with a paintbrush. And yeah, I just couldn't find any good solutions, or I didn't find any great solutions. There were some decent ones, but nothing where I was completely satisfied. So I switched to fountain pens for that. And those have their own challenges, certainly, but they do allow you to draw at a steep angle. And in fact, it's preferable for you to draw at an angle or use them, write with them at an angle. And they put down a line with very little pressure on the page, which is another thing that was important to me. So that's, it's just kind of like an example of some of the stuff that I could potentially be talking about in a video review for an art tool. Okay, so let's see. I'm trying to figure out why this is not filling. Oh, here. It's this little spot right here. Got it. Bingo. And this spot right here as well. Now, I don't know that I love that color, but again, it's a starting point. So now what we're going to do is fill in, because this vest continues down underneath the belt, right? It's all this stuff here. Yeah, because that goes over. Yeah, okay, cool. Just making sure that's all logical. What is that little piece there? I don't know what that is. We're just going to fill that in. It's all part of that. Oh, you know what? That's the edge of this, isn't it? Hold on, hold on. I think what I intended this to be is the edge. Yeah, there we go. Oops, there's a little bit of an inside to that. I don't know what that line is there. I think, oh, it's a hole in the vest cloth. Got it. Can we fill this in? Yes, we can. Sweet. And now we've got this piece. guess this piece here, I'm questioning that piece because it feels like that's supposed to be, well, that's weird, right? Let's see. Yeah, I guess that was supposed to be part of this as well. All right, I'll include that. Cool. Now we can maybe do that uh a shoulder. I'll call it a shoulder wrap. I don't know what else to call it. I'm sure there's a name. Um oh, is this okay, wait, the collar. Yeah, we include the collar, I guess, in the all right. I'm realizing I need to fill this in with the leaf color here. All right, now what do we choose for this element here? I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. We can do, what are the values we're working with here? Maybe we go for like a lighter brown? Maybe. Let's put it in and see what we think. Because then we have the whole rest of the robe outfit to still fill in, and that I'm thinking maybe is the part that's darker. And then this comes in here. Yeah, that's right, actually. You're right. That was have I have those still, and I definitely could still do a review of that. Thank you for reminding me about that. Okay, that's an interesting choice. I don't know how I feel about that yet, but let's get this main robe in as well. So we'll call this layer robe. And this one, I want to go darker. Oh, maybe I go more gray with it. Let's see, how dark is this? Okay. That's pretty dark. Oh well. I mean, we can change our mind later, but might be kind of cool. I mean, the thing about it is that this guy is a villain, and I don't want his palette to feel, like friendly. And I think maybe having his robe be darker like this will help. One thing I'm not accounting for here is things like refraction, but that's not something I would do in this layered phase. I would do it later. That's way too much complexity for doing it in this phase. I mean, I guess, actually, it's that, but also that it's very easy to do once you have a merged version of this and all the information is there. You can just offset things or warp things. Okay, cool. Let's go around here. It's going to look a little weird because this whole area is the hourglass, but it's all transparent. So in this version, it's going to feel like it's not there. And it won't feel like it's there until we get to the reflections phase. And then that's going to all be that color there. Okay. Yeah, see that darkness there already is giving him more of a sinister quality. So then the question is, like do we go for something more? Well, no. Okay, so let's see. Let me try bringing down the value on that. Nope. Up the value on that. Okay. All right. Let's I think that could work. I may tinker with it a little more still, but I actually think that's working pretty good. It's going to be really fun painting this arm. Like, it's got all that cool detail in it. Oh, I guess that's a hole, isn't it? Yep. Okay, that's not a hole. Okay, let's see. Is that good? Yeah. Still have this belt to figure out, but that's pretty minor in the grand scheme of things. All these tiny little hourglass details are a little bit tedious to work around here. Okay, we got this little bit in the middle. You know what? That should have been drawn like that, right? Yeah, we're looking down. So that all right, that's fine. We'll just pretend like that line was there. I guess this could have had some holes in it, right? Yeah. Yeah. Oops. Got carried away. Any other holes? Nope. That looks good. All right, let's work around this piece now. There's that. Now I got to get the bottom of this thing wrapped up. If you're in the middle of working on something, remember to save. All right, luckily, we haven't hit any super confusing edges down here, which is good. Oh, did I speak too soon? That's a little bit of a weird edge, but I think we got there. Oh man, I think we might be there. I think we might be able to do a fill on this. We get there? Yes, we got there. Okay. And hourglasses are going to look weird. It's going to be as if they're not there, but they are there. Um, Interesting. Okay, let's see. What do we want to do there? Maybe we can do. What if I went back to this sort of like orange situation, but maybe not the same orange? And not the little bag on his waist here. We'll do that a different color. And I didn't complete this line. Fill that in. Don't love that transition. There's a little bit of nonsense there. Okay, just don't tell anybody about it. Hopefully they won't notice. This is again one of those things where like in the overpaint later, it's so easy to fix that. So we'll just do it then. Okay, this is a thing where I probably meant to fill. Why does it keep feeling like it's jittering? Okay, there we go. Man, that area in there gets a little tricky. And then maybe we take this brown and we apply it to the pouch here. And maybe we apply it to the strings. Yep. Yeah, it's funny that that Proco skull was very freshly printed when I got it in the mail because it I took it out of the package and it was like a blast of resin, a fresh resin smell. It was I put it in the garage for a few days to let it air out. I don't know if you've ever smelled resin before, but it's not a good smell and not a good smell for you. Okay, let's see. So yeah, we got that brown. Is there any other place where we want to use that brown? I mean, we got the whole scythe handle, but I think I'd rather just paint his skin now. And it's interesting because we're kind of implying that his body is plant like, right? As I think we kind of implied almost like a swamp thing sort of vibe going on. And so I think maybe we want to use this same color we used for the tree or the pumpkin stems on his arms and hands, and then the roots down here. So I think we'll just go back to that layer and just keep using that color, except for let's do it on a layer below. There we go. It's fun because it's plant like and organic, but it's also sort of creepy and kind of zombie like. And yeah, I think it hits a lot of good notes. Not that he's a zombie, but again, we're trying to kind of make him feel a little spooky, a little creepy. It's interesting how a color in a different context can give such a different vibe, right? Like this kind of green might be such a inviting, welcoming color in like a Miyazaki landscape or something, but applying it to a veiny, grotesque arm, it suddenly becomes a whole different can of worms. Let's see. I guess we didn't finish the line art there. Whoopsies. Also, that nail's a little weird. Supposed to be more of that shape. Definitely took some liberties with that thumb there. I kind of want to maybe make it more like that. Mm. I guess I was going for like a foreshortening there, right? So okay, there we go. A little bit of line cleanup, just a 30-second tweak. This color also in this context reminds me of some of the Warhammer chaos stuff, the Nurglings. If anybody's familiar with the Nurgling demons of Nurgle are like that are like plague ridden demons, and they have all these kind of putrid green colors and stuff. Many years ago, I used to play Warhammer Fantasy, and I had a Chaos Army, and yeah, it was not always. I started out playing corn, not the vegetable, but the demon corn, spelled differently. And then and that demon is all about sort of like strength and rage and carnage. And then there's a particular big demon in that army that I wanted to play, so I chose that for that reason. And then later I actually switched to Nurgle because I really liked the kind of green tones. I'm a big fan of green in general. I like uh, I like the green family of colors. So yeah, it's fun. But man, that hobby is so time consuming. It's completely insane. You gotta have some spare cycles to be into that. Maybe one day I'll get back into it. It's also expensive too. That's another thing. But yeah, it's fun. Okay, there we go. I don't know that I love that orange belt. Do I like that? Is that a good? I guess it's not too bad. How's the values look? Maybe that's the problem, is that the values are weird. And maybe we go for something like that. All right. Now I think maybe we can do. Oh, I got all these roots down here. Can't forget those. Now these, I think we were a little loose on the ends, the definition. So this might require some fancy brushwork to get these defined. Whoops. That's the one limitation of the fill action I have, is that it doesn't deal with really tight spaces. So that's why I manually fill those in. It's just the whole expanding your selection thing kind of doesn't work well on really small areas, small regions. But it's fine, right? Because those are the places where I'll tend to manually paint that in anyway. So it kind of all works out in the end. Let's see how that's looking. Okay. It's interesting. Ew, that's kind of a nice color there. Then that kind of blends in with that. No, let's see. See this as we start to see it come together more. This is where I start to change my mind about stuff. Okay, what if that's more? Let's see. Okay, maybe this cape is what's throwing me off. Yeah, I think the cape is what was throwing me off. It was too loud. So I want the head and the upper body to be drawing your attention more. So yeah, I think we'll go with something more like that. What about hue? Do we want yeah, maybe more go more like that. Okay. And that feels a little more boring, but I do think that it helps us just see the focal point better. And it makes the red leaves on the shoulders feel more special versus before. If we have a big red cape, it's like, well, yeah, it's just kind of stealing the show, and I don't want that. The funny thing too is you can do a drawing that feels so detailed, and then as soon as you separate it all into different color regions, it suddenly feels a lot less complicated, which I guess is good in terms of just being able to sort of read it and see it and work on it. But you may feel like, gosh, I could have put even more detail into the drawing. Um, it's interesting, but it can be a reason to go a little more monochrome if you want to push the sort of the details. You want it to feel a little bit more busy. Then monochrome can give that impression, which is I think counterintuitive, right? Because you think, well, monochrome that's going to feel not busy, right? Like a whole bunch of colors everywhere is going to feel busy. Maybe it's a different kind of busy, but color regions, they help separate things and make them easier to parse. Just kind of zooming out, checking the vibe. Okay, yep. The nice thing about a piece where you know the lines are going to go away is that if you don't like something you did with the lines, then you can sort of change it up, right? Like here, as I'm filling in these root shapes, if I don't like the root shape, how I drew it, I can just make the flat something a little different. I don't really encourage a confused workflow, right? Or one where you are not resolving things or changing your mind dramatically from one stage to the next. Improvement's good, but you don't want to be second guessing everything you've done. So I think those sort of changes should feel sort of minor in the grand scheme of things. Like if we decided while we were coloring that I want his head to be a cantaloupe instead of a pumpkin. Well, that's probably not the right choice to make in the coloring stage, right? We'll save that cantaloupe head for the summer tropical variant skin. A lot of complex, time-consuming outer shapes here. Yeah, the pumpkin head still strikes me as a little bit a little bit too saturated, maybe. Yeah, let's go with that. Going for a little bit more of a kind of gritty realism. Let's see. How do we do here? Okay, yeah, not too bad. This green is reminding me of the Grinch. Yeah, I know there's kind of like different, maybe different variants, but I feel like this has like a Grinch vibe to it. Is he more green than this? Maybe he's more green than this. Can't remember. I'm talking about like the cartoon, the original, not the live action movie. You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. Brr-dur-dur-dur. Okay, I gotta stop. I'm getting a copyright strike. What are those? That's hilarious. Those don't make any sense. Can we do a little tweak? Let's do a little tweak. Yeah, now they make sense. That's what we wanted all along. It'll be our secret. Well, we are a little bit over the usual streaming time. So I think what we'll do is I'm gonna just basically finish up all the roots down here. I think that'll be a good stopping point for us. I don't want to kind of like end mid color here. I feel like we should get this part handled. Yeah, we made a lot of good progress on the colors so far. I feel like we have some of the biggest choices in place, and we'll have a little bit of coloring left to do next time. I think it'll go pretty quickly. And then we can get into rendering light and shadow, which is always very, very exciting. Start giving things some dimensionality. Of course, we'll start with our ambient shadow pass. And then we'll move on to any other additional lighting we want. I don't know that we'll have anything particularly weird about the lighting with this guy. Probably, some key lighting from above, maybe some rim lighting. But I am wondering if, in this case, maybe the rim lighting gets replaced by lighting from the glowing elements. Depends on how strong we want those to be. So we'll have to do a little bit of experimentation there. But that'll be fun to figure that out. Can we fill this in? Yes, we can. Now, this is taking some time, but what's nice is that when we go to do all of the shadows on this, it'll be so easy, right? Because we'll have this mask in place and we can use it to control all of our future edges. if Adobe wanted to maybe make a useful AI tool, one that doesn't like rip other artists off, make a tool where I can like, you know, put my brush inside this shape in a really loose, quick way, and it'll find that edge for me and fill it in correctly. Do something like that. They have something a little bit like that. What is it called? It's actually called the object selection tool, which kind of like analyzes the image and tries to understand the shapes in the image. So, I mean, they've got like a foot in the door with that idea. It's just, apply it to like the fill tool or something. That would be awesome. But, then again, I don't know that the object selection tool, like, I think that tool doesn't work that great unless you've got like a photo of something. I don't know how it would work on a line drawing like this. It probably doesn't work very well. So they'd have to work on that part. But yeah, I don't know. Seems like something that wouldn't be impossible to do. All right, we're getting there. We're getting there. That's kind of cool. Right now, we can kind of see those roots better now with them filled in. I feel like it creates a fun little silhouette detail to the bottom. I have this it's a weird problem where sometimes I forget to blink. I don't know if anybody else has ever experienced that when they're doing digital art, but I sometimes I'll forget to blink, and that sounds like such a weird thing, but I guess sometimes I'll just get in kind of a rhythm and I'll stare for too long, and then it really messes with my eyes. You do that too much for like a couple hours straight, and you definitely start to notice it. So I guess in addition to reminding you guys to save, I'll remind you guys to blink as well. These things that probably I have a problem with. I mean, I'm obviously blinking pretty regularly, but it's just those few moments where I get really locked in, and I think I just end up staring for too long on a spot. Very easy eye burnout. Just the last route. Oh boy, here we go. Last route coming in. Oh, he's a skinny route. Okay, that's cool. We can work with that. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I want to dive in and get the rest of this handled, but I feel like that is a good stopping point for this stream. Give my eyes a little bit of a break here, my hand as well. But I think next time we'll easily be able to get all these colors wrapped up and dive into lighting and shadows, which will be very exciting. Thank you all for joining me for another stream. Thanks for people hanging out in the chat. Awesome to chat with you. Good luck with all your creative endeavors this week, and I will catch you guys next time. Take care.